What's the absolute worst piece of advice you ever received? If you have a bicycle, saw it in half and get two unicycles. Advice from an honest hobo in San Francisco holding a sign that said $1 for bad advice. Just get pregnant and marry him. He will have to stop cheating if you do. God, am I glad I didn't listen to that. Break up with her, she's not worth it. Nobody has the right to treat you that way. Because my wife and I disagreed over who should do the laundry. Thanks, Reddit. Edit. I should add, this was unsolicited advice. I was told multiple times by her family that having a child would help fix our marriage. You'll both be focused on the kid, it'll help you bond. When I explained that I didn't want to bring a child into an unstable environment based on a gamble, the prevailing thought was that I was being selfish. Unreal. You should try washing your face more. Thanks, I never thought of that. Cries into 15 bottles of moisturizers, exfoliators, and facial cleansers. You only need to feed newborns once a day. Fucking. What? Friend told me to pull out student loans to buy cryptocurrency. I didn't listen, of course. He did it himself though and got burned on epic proportions. Don't worry about the cost of the wedding, you'll make it back in the gifts. To hit my abusive father back. Got multiple broken ribs the one time I listened to that advice, lol. If anyone is ever stupid enough to think they love you in spite of how you look, you'd better stick with them for life because it will never happen again. Thanks, Mom. That sure didn't lead to a pattern of incredibly dangerous and abusive relationships I couldn't break until my mid-30s. People are monsters, so you better settle with whoever you can. No thanks, mother, I don't want to end up with 4 kids and 7 failed relationships and an abusive on and off boyfriend who walks all over me because I let him. Back when originally job seeking, pretty much everything my parents told me to do. Like, sure, it may have worked in your day to give them a slip of paper with your name and the words reliable and keen, but most major chain stores hire through an online form these days. My dad told me to get a goddamn balloon lease on a fucking car as soon as I graduated college. I had no idea what was going on and thought I'd bought the car. Imagine my surprise 4 years later when not only did I own 0 cars, I also owed $20K or had to get a new car. Fucked my finances for years. My dad is not good with money. I had never had a boyfriend before and my friend told me it's because I'm too intimidating and I should dumb it down when talking to men to make them like me more. With age comes wisdom, so you must always listen to your elders. They always have your best interests at heart. This is not always true. They're all still human, no matter how old they are. They also make mistakes, act selfish or spiteful. Taking Zoloft will help your disgusting porn addiction. I'll just tell your mom you're depressed and prescribe it to you. My first therapist I had when I was 13 to 14 years old and hypersexual from childhood sexual abuse. Take acid to your cramming for a test beforehand, since it helps with studying. Yeah, I just love losing my mind when I look down at equations and they're suddenly moving hieroglyphics. Tell HR to stay with an abuser because it was a sin to leave. Forgive and forget. My family has always said this, and it only kept abusive people in my life. They were never held accountable for their actions, and I was supposed to forgive them and never bring it up again because they're family. Cutting out toxic family members and remembering why I did it was the best thing I've ever done for myself. My grandmother always used to tell me you can never be too rich or too thin. Which is just questionable all around, really. You only need CS to graduate, community college will take you. Thanks, Mom. To smoke marijuana when I was having a bad anxiety panic attack. Shit made it 1,000 times worse. It felt like time had stopped and I was dying. From my dad, go to the pub and start a fight, thinking it would somehow help my social life. I promise I won't be mad if you tell me. Don't worry about how much you take out for a student loan, the interest is so low it will be easy to pay off. Marry a good Christian woman, because if she does what God says, she has to do what you say too. Fuck you, Uncle Jim. Never make friends with your co-workers. Don't do X because you are a girl. As in, don't whistle. It isn't ladylike. Don't chew gum or smoke. Both are unbecoming for a girl. Don't talk on dates. Listen, that is what boys find attractive. Didn't say, don't join the army. I retired as a lieutenant colonel. A 2-year degree in computers? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Nobody uses them because nobody can afford them. Focus on 4 years of English Lit. Advice from an unnamed source in 1990. However, my internet shit posts are top-notch. If a boy is mean to you, that means he really likes you. Thanks for that one, auntie. Totally did fuck me up at 7 years old when I told you a classmate punched me in the nose. Once got some DMs on Reddit from someone who tried to convert me to Mormonism after they found out I was suicidal. Second worst would be someone who told me to smuggle psychedelic mushrooms into my college, which is in another country by the way, and trip on those as a means of treating my depression. The good, I'll just stop worrying so much and be happy. Like, yeah, motherfucker, you just solved all my problems. I'd never thought about that myself. If you are worried about not lasting long, have a tactical wank 15 minutes before. Money doesn't buy happiness. I would be a lot happier if I had more money right now. Bloom where you're planted. Fuck that, I want to live in all the places. When I was young, a teacher said to me, it's rude if you ask for something, you have to let them offer it first. I want you to try heroin with me. Spoiler. I refused. Try Adderall. Both my brother and I had amphetamines pushed on us, even though we were nearly perfect students. My brother became a zombie for the year he took it, and it may have stunted his growth. I ended up taking them later in life and going down a 5-year-long rabbit hole of all-nighters and snorting orange powder. I don't even have a sense of smell anymore, and it took me years to rewire my brain. I just wanted something that could help me get through a college degree I wasn't excited about, and although I got something out of that time, I know I could have done it on my own. By the way, fuck the movie Limitless. I had quit and I ended up relapsing after seeing it. It's not true. Discipline, routine, and exciting work can give you what you want from a drug. The drug just makes everything you're doing feel good, so you quickly lose your proper reward compass and end up digging holes to nowhere like a meth head. Your dog came from an abusive household and is shy around people? I suggest starving him for a few days until he is forced to eat from your hand. No. In college, I broke up with my girlfriend over the summer despite it being the wrong decision. She was the sweetest, most loving girl I'd ever met. She sent me a package of really thoughtful gifts for my birthday, and I was going to call her and thank her. I honestly think we would have gotten back together. My roommate convinced me I shouldn't call her and give her false hope. I felt horrible and didn't call. I still regret that to this day. You should just give him a chance. About my potentially violent stalker. Look for a man who will be a good father to your kids. Love is a delusion and attraction doesn't last. Said to me by my aunt when I was a teenager. My dad immediately replied, if her kids have a bad father, they'll at least have a good mother. Let her love and be loved. I mean, I understand where she was coming from, and I know attraction fades. But the idea that I have to look for a life partner based on something impossible to prove, like being a good father, unless he already has children, instead of love and attraction, was jarring to say the least. Never admit when you're wrong. The person I hate for how prideful and toxic he is says to me, just have a baby and see how you like it. If you don't, you won't have to have another one. My mom when I told her I absolutely do not want kids in the future. It's not as easy as buying something at the store and returning it if you're not satisfied. Had a therapist tell me I should not let emotional psychological abuse bother me, so I could let toxic family members back in my life and they could keep abusing me, but it wouldn't bother me. WTF. When my son and I started dating, he went to his dad for advice. His only response? Fist her. Thankfully, he's never done it, had need to do it. Don't try to control the relationship and let it develop naturally. In regards to a guy I was seeing, I was having second thoughts about. I was a mess from being recently divorced and didn't realize it, so I ignored a ton of red flags. Turns out he was just using me and then raped me, gave me herpes, and then tried to break down my door 2 days after I blocked his number. Many years ago my mother told my two younger sisters who were 13 and 15 at the time to get pregnant ASAP to any boy their own age so they could get a benefit and child support for the next 18 years. Her reasoning was that the boy's parents would make extra hush payments to keep it quiet, and her daughters would be able to be like her, jobless and paid by the state to stay at home doing nothing. It was actually good advice because both of my younger sisters are hard-working, highly educated women now in their 30s with decent partners who are only now looking at having children. That advice finally broke the hold she had over them and showed them what they didn't want to be as an adult. Deleted. It's better to keep your mouth shut no matter what. Yeah, if I didn't keep my mouth shut, then I would not have taken a beating from a group of guys in order to take the fall for a friend who pissed the group off. Snitches get stitches, no. People who don't fess up also get stitches sometimes. Just be yourself. On a serious note, it should be about being your best self. I have a great one. In high school I joined the football team my freshman year. There was a giant senior who played fullback and was one of the physical strongest players we had. Dude was jacked. He dead serious told me that if you work out hard enough and get big enough muscles that bullets couldn't make it through them. He really believed that bullets couldn't kill you if you were jacked enough. He was a bit dumb, told me this in a freshman class he had to take as a senior. Nothing mentally wrong with him, he just didn't devote much time to anything other than lifting and football. Nice guy though.